Hi everyone, this is Michelle Gario from Adult Services at Seekonk Library.
And I'm Sharon Clark from Youth Services at Seekonk Public Library.
And we're happy to be back to share with you our featured service for this month. And this time we're actually going to talk about something that's not just for Seekonk patrons. So the good news is that whatever you learn here, you can share with anybody you know in the state. We're going to be sharing some of the resources available through the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners to everyone in Massachusetts. And the way you want to get started accessing these resources is just by going to the friendly website that you see down there at the bottom, mass.gov/libraries. And again, this is going to be a chance for people who know libraries very well, people who don't know libraries very well, to learn about all the services that libraries are offering. And it is more than what most people think of as the type of library that they grew up with. So please do share that URL. Now, when it comes to knowing all the different resources that are available, there are so many to review. If you go to the A to Z list, again, just by clicking around a little bit on that mass.gov/libraries website, you'll come to this page that shows nearly 50 different resources available. It will include newspapers, it will include different specialty topics, it will include business resources, and there's really so much to look at here. We're going to actually try and focus on our top or favorite resources for kids, for adults, and for teens.
You're right, and we're going to start with children, and we're going to focus on 2 library resources specifically for homework help. So when I think of homework help, I think of 2 main scenarios. So needing resources, references for an upcoming long-term project maybe that's been assigned. And then the second is maybe it's nighttime and your child needs information for an assignment that's due the next day. Tomorrow, face it, most of us have been there. So it doesn't matter which scenario it is. The library has homework resources that will help or maybe even save the day. So clicking on that homework help banner that you see on the screen, I love that. It says Homework Help 911. You feel the desperation for the homework help. It will give us choices for elementary, middle school, high school, and even college students. But for today, what I did was I went to Homework Help, clicked on that banner, and then selected elementary. So by doing that, it offered us 2 resources for children. We have Kids Info Bits, and we have Britannica Library for Children. So the first one we're going to focus on is Kids Info Bits. And the first thing I noticed about Kids Info Bits is the interface. I noticed that it's bright, it's colorful. I like the way that it's arranged by subject. We see animals, music, just a sampling of the subjects that are available. And of course, you can always do your own subject search. So that search box is always up at the top of the screen. But for today, I clicked on science, and then you'll see that it breaks the subject down into more specific topics. So you see biology, you see earth science. It just gives you a deeper choices within that subject.
And yet not too deep, which is really important when you're dealing with younger children. Maybe they're just researching their own personal interests and it's not an assignment so much for school. So you're not overwhelming them with too much information at once.
That's true. That's a great point. But then when you do browse within that topic, looking at that example again, you can click on, say, weather and climate. And I had 26 categories from which to choose from just in that one topic. So there was wind, tsunamis, meteorologists, lighting. You get a true sense of a lot of different topics within that subject. And for an example, I chose hurricanes. So I clicked on hurricanes and it brought me to current information, current articles about Hurricane Dorian.
Wow.
And then even more current things, information about the Bahamas and how cleanup efforts are progressing there now. So this is true current information, but for children. And I think it's great.
And it seems like it'd be a great way to maybe talk about some of those subjects that come up on the late night news that might seem a little bit scary by making them sort of a research project and yet at their own reading level, their interest level, something that's engaging but not overwhelming.
You're right. Conversation starters too.
That's great.
The next resource is Britannica Library. So the home screen actually has that banner. What we're looking at right now is not the home screen, but I will tell you that the home screen has that banner right there, so it looks exactly like that. And next to it will be a search box. So within that, you can type in whatever it is you're looking for. So for today's example, I had typed in Boston Tea Party, and then it brought me to this screen. So home screen, right to the banner, put in the search box, and then again, with this search of Boston Tea Party, these are my initial search results. I say initial because there are levels that you can choose from. So you might see where it says level 1 right underneath that word Britannica. That's highlighted. That's the level that we're in right now. When I say level, that's a reading level. So you can see over on the right-hand side, I've made that screen a little bit bigger so you can get a sense of what an article reading level at level 1 looks like. So you'll see the font is big. There's probably not as much text. And then for the purposes of this example, I also clicked on reading level 2. And then you can see the difference. You can see the difference in not only visually, but guaranteed there's more content there. It goes a little bit deeper for that reading level.
Now this is just like the early literacy reading books that we have in the library, right? We have a lot of different series that will actually have the reading levels numbered.
right.
So if you find a nice series, you can kind of continue with that series through all of their reading progression. And one thing I like about this is Britannica. I know Britannica.
We all know Britannica.
Britannica was a print volume. We had it in my house. It took up all the space, this desk and probably more. So it's one of these resources that's been around. It's somewhat familiar to us as adults or parents. And so the nice thing about this is they're not limited to, oh, I can't get it because the library is closed. It's online 24/7, just with a few clicks. And if I'm right, I don't even think it asks for a library card, which is pretty amazing. So through the magic of technology, the service is able to recognize that you are in Massachusetts when you search for this, and you go right in 24/7.
24/7, a wealth of information always available.
That's right. And it's
Right
not
through the
so
website.
fancy. You know, a lot of times we think, what happened to the good old days when we used to do research? And, you know, the encyclopedia set that we actually have in the library does get accessed a lot by students when they're just starting out on a topic, when they want just an overview, they're trying to figure out what topic they're really interested in. They will take one of those volumes and check it out. Now they have this completely available online.
Yeah, it's great.
And jumping into a resource for teens, or maybe two, now that's when you start to get actual research being done in school, where you really have homework 911. Parents don't know what the topics are.
They don't know how to
Kids
help.
don't know what the topics are. And so this is where you can go into that massgov.libraries and find resources that are going to help them at that 11th hour when they often need it. The two that I brought up today are, I think, even resources that we might be interested in as adults, because you have Literature Resource Center and biographies, which are perennial subjects, and we know people who love the libraries like both of these subjects. So the nice thing about Literature Resource Center for teens is that it's going to allow you to go in to get what used to be available in those, let's see, what were they called again? Those yellow...
The Cliff Notes.
Cliff Notes, that's
Yes.
right. They're going to get an overview of an entire work. So if they're struggling with a particular reading assignment, they don't know what it's saying, they can go on here and get that sort of plain English, common sense, what is happening in this story. Not only that, but they'll get in-depth information about the authors if they have to do writing on that subject, and they'll be able to quickly get to other works by that particular author. So you kind of see the relationships and how things all tie in together. A great resource, maybe even for adults who are doing some background reading on a book club pick, especially if they're going to those
Great idea.
classics where you feel like you should know it and maybe you don't quite
You
know
don't
it.
quite know
And
it.
how do I quickly get up
Everybody
to speed?
else knows it.
That's right. You can go into Literature Resource Center 24/7 on your computer. The other one that I mentioned briefly is Gale in Context Biography. And this resource really points to one of the most popular areas we have in nonfiction, which is our biographies. Anytime someone comes in, they have to do a project on nonfiction, they don't really know where to start, I lead them towards biographies, because people are the most interesting things you're going to find.
Sure.
And you will find someone in some field that you've always sort of been interested in for whatever reason. And so that resource is here. Again, you're going to be able to go in, put in the name of the person that you're looking for, and it's going to help you with finding all different levels of research on that person, whether you want just a very quick, okay, give me the quick Cliff Note version of who I'm dealing with here, or if you are looking for some in-depth resources so that you can do a research paper, either at the high school level or maybe even the college levels. We definitely have those adults who are going back to college and needing those resources at the times that they can actually access them. So another great resource, you'll always have fun in there. Anytime you come across a name in the newspaper and you think, they're talking about this like I should know that person,
Who is that?
maybe you can go into this resource and you can get your background research done. And finally, for our adults, I could not mention these two sort of categories of resources that we have, because just like with kids, we have kind of adults coming in at different places. The one I've already mentioned, those back to school adults who have my full support. I know what that's like, going back to school. And so the resource that I will often point people to is Gale Academic OneFile. This is where you can go when you're looking for research articles and you're looking for things at the level that they expect you to be bringing in when you're going back to school at a college level. So you will be able to find those, what they call peer-reviewed journals. So these are journals where you don't just sort of submit it and they say, oh, that looks good, and they publish it. This is where a body of experts in that field are going to go in and they're going to review it and see factually, does this line up? Is this correctly administered research, and then they publish it. You'll be able to get that level of resource available in Gale Academic OneFile. So absolutely one that you want to know when you're in that back to school sort of life zone. And the other one that's really great is newspapers. Through the mass.gov/libraries website, you can get both the Boston Globe and the New York Times. Now, starting with the Boston Globe, you can actually get online full text, the entire Boston Globe from 1980 up until this day. Up until this day. So if you, for whatever reason, didn't get your newspaper delivered, you're thinking, what in the world? That was a really good article somebody said was going to be in there. You can go online and you can get that article that was published today in the Boston Globe through this resource. And I know we're hard, fast Boston Red Sox fans,
yes,
and we don't like to talk about New York,
no,
but if you had to go and find something that was in the New York Times, then you can do that as well. And for that resource, they actually have indexed all the way from 1985 to the present time, so that if you specifically know there was something maybe in the region that wasn't just in Boston, but still important regionally, then you might find that there was an article in the Times, and you can find that again up to today's issue. So you got to know about that. Maybe some other time I'll be able to talk about, not only do you have 1980 forward for the Boston Globe, but you can go way, way back to the beginning.
Wayback Machine.
So something in my librarian toolbox. Maybe I'll bring it out on the show at some point.
I'll mention about the Boston Globe. I was on the internet recently and I happened upon an article that was from the Boston Globe, and I clicked on it and it asked me to subscribe to the Boston Globe. I had to pay this fee. Again, that was just an internet search.
That's right.
So
that's right.
By using the resources that we have, we avoid all of that. Those
You're
pop-up
getting the
windows
full
and all that. You go
text.
right to the Boston Globe for free and read these articles.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes, this is not the same as going to boston.com and reading what's online there, because oftentimes they'll give you a little snippet of the article. We're talking about the full article available for free up to the current day's issue when you go through this particular website. And there's always something new to learn. I myself was so impressed by this resource that I found as I was going through those resources that I had to bring it up. Gale Business Entrepreneurship. So this is for folks at really any age nowadays. I've seen articles about seemingly preschoolers who are starting businesses.
Preschoolers starting their own lemonade stands.
Really young. Those lemonade stands really take off sometimes. But this is all about real business plans, how-to guides, articles, and more. And what I like about this is not set up with just sort of a search box and then you gotta go and figure out your terms and everything. Though they do have that there, they really have it laid out so cleanly that you want a business plan, here's a business plan. It's not going to tell you just how to write a business plan. It's going to show you actual examples of real, actual business plans that you can sort of just jump in and get started with, and comparing what you want to do with what's actually seemingly
What
valid.
a valuable resource. Rather than reinventing the wheel, you have access to these actual business plans.
That's right. Sort of like our resume guides, where you just get to see a whole encyclopedia full of resumes and you go, okay, this is what I need to do. So jump in and get started. This is for not only for profit businesses, but also nonprofit businesses. And one of those really important squares there was about managing and funding. So
funding.
If you're trying to get a business off the ground, then you know the funding is where you want to really pay the most attention to. And this is going to get you up and running with Gale Business Entrepreneurship. So we've really just scratched the surface of what's available to you through that resource. Again, over 50 different groupings for whatever reason, for whatever level that you're at. And if you want to know more, then please do email us, stop by, or call us during our business hours. We look forward to working with you.